tuning in to two former NFL scouts, Vital and Kelly, covering the NFL and college football like nobody else. Vital, a four-time Super Bowl winner, who worked for 6 NFL teams and held executive roles with 3 of them, the Patriots, Falcons, and Cowboys. And Kelly, a former pro scout with the New York Jets and current scouting director at FirstRoundMock.com. You've listened to the rest. Now it's time to hear from these two.
Hello, Lionel. How are you doing today?
Excellent, Dan the man. What about you?
Hey, I'm doing well. It's just looking at this football season. It's unpredictable like usual.
Man, that's the way the ball bounces. You know how football is. It never bounces the way you think it's going to bounce.
That's very interesting, and that's a great lead-in to our show today because congratulations to Bill Belichick, head coach, North Carolina Tar Heels. We did not see that one coming. At least I didn't.
Nobody did.
That's just the way he likes it.
That's Bill. You'll never know what he's doing.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. What was your initial reaction when you heard that?
I didn't believe it. If you'd have told me that at the beginning of the summer, I would have said, get it out of here. I wouldn't have believed it. I still don't.
Why? I don't either. Why?
Because he's got 15 wins. You know, he needs to get 15 more wins. He's the winningest coach in the history of pro football. So I don't get it.
It's interesting. Well, let's kind of unpack this. But seriously, congratulations to Coach Belichick. It's great to have him back in the game. How do you think? I mean, because just for people who are listening right now, just to kind of unpack this for people, your background, you worked with Bill Belichick for a lot of years, right?
Yep, came into the NFL as a scout under Coach Belichick.
Yeah, back with the Cleveland Browns, and of course, then the genesis of this. That's right, genesis. Then you went to the Jets with Coach Belichick. That's where you and I met when I was in pro scouting. You were a college scout, and then from there you went on to the New England Patriots and had the success up there with them. And so you've been around him for a number of years. So I mean, and I was with him for a couple of years there in New York. So this is very interesting. People listening right now are listening to 2 guys that have been around Coach Belichick, and I got to start by asking you, how do you think that him coaching at North Carolina will affect college football?
It's going to change the whole landscape, the way he recruits, you know, the way he brings guys in, the way he teaches, the way he coaches against college coaches. He's going to teach people a lot. I expect him to be right into the top 20. I mean, just first year, man. I just, no excuses. None of this. Oh, it's going to take a couple years. He's trying to get I don't want to hear that. He's going to, listen, he's preparing for the top 20 now. The top 20 is built now in the off season. In season, you go from 20 on down. Okay? Meaning 20 to 15 to 10 to 5. Now you build your top 20 right now.
You know, Nick Saban and Bill Belichick worked together, right? And we saw what Coach Saban did all those years at Alabama and how he changed the landscape of college football and, you know, with the success he had there. In what way specifically, you touched on this, you said he's going to change the landscape of college football. Like, what do you think his biggest impact in the college game is going to be?
The type of players he bring in. I mean, he's going to only bring in professional type players. I mean, I don't see him wanting to recruit just a midline college football player. He's going to build an NFL roster. I mean, there's a few teams that do it now, like Georgia and Notre Dame and the big boys. Well, that's what Bill's going to do. He's going to build that North Carolina program like an NFL roster. When a guy leaves from there, he's probably going to go to the NFL.
Will Coach Belichick win immediately?
Yeah, that's what I said. He'll be in my time, you know, for my money, I'd say he'll be in the top 20 right away. He's a top 20 team right now.
Okay.
The minute he finished putting it together this offseason, top 20.
In your mind, what's the biggest difference between coaching in the NFL and coaching in college football?
I think you got to work with these kids. You got to bring them along. You have to understand them. It's not like you're dealing with a bunch of grown men. These guys are 18, 19. They're still developing. But you know what? That's one of Bill's strengths. You know, he's a guy that he's young at heart. Listen, he might be 72, but he can he can really work closely with youngsters. You know, young guys. They understand him, man, and he understands them.
So he identifies in your mind really well with young players.
Absolutely, that's one of his strengths. He could go to dinner with a bunch of 25-year-olds and he'd fit right in with them. They think he's one of them.
How is he able to
That's
do that in
that's.
your mind? I mean, you've been around him for a
I,
long time. I mean, like, how have you? What does he do? Like, how does he do it?
well, he's got a sense of humor like them. You know, he thinks outside of the box like them. He doesn't think like an old man. He just thinks he's got a young mindset. You know, uh, that's one of his gifts that no one talks about. But if you knew him and knew him well, you'd say, this guy didn't think like an old man. You never hear him acting like old guys, man. I know guys that are 40, 50, 60, and 70, man, and they act old. Bill Belichick, nah, man. You know, he's like fine wine when it comes to the mindset.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Do you think this is a long-term move for him at North Carolina? I mean, do you think we're going to see him come back into the NFL at some point?
I think he'll be back in the NFL. And the reason that is when he said he wanted to get the job for his son, hopefully the son could take over when he leaves. It means he's going to leave. Whether it's a year, whether it's 2 years. But I could see Bill back in the NFL. Yeah. And his son takes over.
Do you find it interesting at all that there's not been an NFL team that stepped up at this point and offered him a head coaching position? And I mean, how do you process that?
I find it kind of weird, but, here's a guy who's probably the best coach who's ever coached football. He's available.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And no one's really jumped yet. But it's just the process is just getting started. So it's not over, man.
No, no, not at
And
all.
it,
Yeah,
it
there was a rumor. You and I talked about off air. There was a rumor that his camp or he reached out to the Jets, or there was some conversation about him with the Jets, and they, I guess, allegedly didn't get back to him in time before he took the North Carolina job. I have a hard time reconciling that in my mind. The Jets, right? The Jets had a chance. I mean, he walked out. He walked right past me in the hallway. In fact, when he walked into that press conference back in the day before he went to New England, he said, "Hi, Dan." I said, "Hey, Coach," and he walked right into that press conference to basically leave New York and go to New England, right? So now the Jets have another chance. And Woody Johnson, of course, was the owner back then too. He had just taken over from Mr. Hess when he passed away. So now he's got another chance to go get Bill in the AFC East against the Patriots and everything. And what happened?
um, that's interesting. And, they're in the process now of looking for a coach and a general manager. And I don't think it's over, man. I think, Bill's going to get a call. I could see Bill Belichick getting a call and an inquiry on what he wants to do. I'm not, it's not over yet. The door's not shut on that, Dan.
Do you mean this in this hiring cycle that we're going to be going
Yeah,
into?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I know he wants to do North Carolina, but if the NFL comes storming in with the right deal, I mean, that's a decision he's going to have to make.
So was this? Do you believe? Is this a leverage move?
I don't know that it's a leverage move. I know he wants to coach and he loves coaching. So he secured this job with North Carolina and now he knows he's got that in his back pocket. And so
Right.
maybe it is leverage, but if he doesn't get anything from the NFL, he's got a North Carolina Tar Heel job that he can focus on this year and then maybe next year get back into the cycle.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, it's going to be very, very interesting coming up here. We're just a little ways away from all that stuff starting to happen here, and we'll see. What do you expect this year? I mean, you said you expect this to be a successful year at North Carolina. He's going to win right out of the gates. I mean, when we're sitting here, if he coaches at North Carolina this year, what does a successful season look like? Do you think? I mean, how many wins? How many? What do you see happening here?
Well, Mac Brown was winning 6 games, 7 games. So you do the math from there. If Mac Brown could win 6 or 7 games, Bill Belichick could win 9, 10 games. Okay? I'd say 9, 10 games. I mean, obviously, you're going to have some tough games when you play against, people like Clemson and those types of, upper echelon guys. But, he's going to bring the type of players to help him win. And he's going to coach him up, Dan. He's an exceptional coach.
Absolutely is. Absolutely. What do you think he does at quarterback? I mean, there's rumors out there that, maybe, Arch Manning, maybe Quinn Ewers, he decides not to go into the NFL this year. Instead, he goes into the portal. I mean, are you hearing anything, or do you have any thoughts on what Coach Belichick might do with the quarterback situation?
Well, they just signed their top recruit at quarterback. I think he was a 4-star kid out of North Carolina. They just signed him. They secured him. So they have that going for him now. And who knows, maybe they'll secure another kid, a veteran kid, to go with this kid. Now you have 2 guys, and you're ready to rock and roll.
Do you think you think Arch Manning is a realistic play?
I don't put anything past Bill. Me
neither. That's why I'm asking. I mean, because I saw it on Twitter X today. That's why I'm asking.
Well, he's going to look at Arch Manning. He's going to look at everybody who's available around the country. And trust me, these people, some way, somehow, will get some phone calls.
Yeah.
It may not be from Belichick, but it'll be from people that know Belichick.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah,
he's
gonna scowl. That's right. He's gonna scowl this country for players.
Yeah, no question. And of course, there's somebody else too that's sitting out there that's played at a very familiar school. Speaking of Nick Saban, Jalen Milroe sitting out there too.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. He gets Jalen Milroe, a person like that, for a year, and that's just good for Jalen's resume. Because Jalen has done just about all he's going to do at Alabama. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, he hasn't really said yet.
If I'm a player, I would want Bill Belichick attached to my resume for the rest of my career.
Oh, me
no
too.
matter what I'm doing. I mean, I'd have rocks in my head if I didn't want to do something with Bill Belichick. Have him tied to my resume for the rest of my years. After football.
Yeah. See, that to me is really what's going to be interesting, because you touched on the recruiting piece of that, a couple times during our conversation here. But just can you imagine these guys coming out of high school and their parents, of course, who grew up watching all this in New England, the phone rings and it's Bill Belichick, and he wants, as a young player, when you were coming out of high school, can you imagine if the phone would have rang at your grandmother's house or something, and it would have been Vince Lombardi on the phone?
Man, it's mind blowing.
Hey, phone call, Lionel. It's Coach Lombardi.
It's Bear Bryant. It's mind blowing to get that kind of call, and right away you're going to pick the phone up. You're going to hear what they got to say. So they're not calling. They're not calling everybody, Dan. They're going to call hand-picked guys. Trust me. They have a hand-picked list of guys they want to bring in. They're going to do the homework on those guys, the type of guys that fit what they do, the guys that have the physicality, the mentality, all the things that they look for in a player. They're going to call that guy, and they're going to load up with those kind of guys. It's going to be nice to see.
You know what I love about this move more than anything else? It reminds me of conversations we've had over the last 20, 25 years when we've talked about Coach Belichick. I remember you specifically saying to me one time, everybody else has plan A, B, C, D, and maybe E, but Coach Belichick has plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P. He's way ahead of the rest. He's a rest. And this move is like textbook. What you taught me about Coach Belichick. This is something that nobody including ourselves, expected. And this is the move he made. That put the whole thing into context for me.
Well, Dan, look at this. He's had a chance to sit there and study these college football programs, okay? And he's probably been studying these programs for quite some time now. He's been out of football for a whole year. So he's been looking at every program. He knows how they do their business. He knows their rosters. Man, Dan, he's got all the ammunition to just blow these people up. I mean, no one researches anything like him. He's the research king, and then he knows how to deliver with his research.
Yeah, no question. Well, it promises to be a very interesting next few weeks and very interesting season, to say the least. One thing I know for sure, it is fantastic. It is great to see Coach Belichick back in football.
Yes, we're going to love it, man. It's going to be fun. It's going to be made for TV. Deion Sanders got all the credit last year, your guy Deion Sanders. Now, Coach Belichick is going to be the guy this year. Everything will be right on Coach Belichick. He's going to be a magnified, they're going to have a big glass on him, magnifying glass on Coach Belichick. And every week, everything he does, it'll be just, boom, illuminated. That's right.
They say he's the biggest thing to happen in North Carolina since Michael Jordan.
Yeah, and it's just getting started. It's going to go on.
We may see a picture with a hoodie on a shoe.
Man, I think I saw it.
On a shoe, yeah.
Yeah. Every day North Carolina is going to get some kind of pub. I mean, North Carolina now is going to be the destination. That's the place to be.
That's
Forget
a spot
about all
right
that
there.
other crap. But North Carolina, man, you would Bill Belichick.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I love working with him, and I know you did. It's a privilege. It's an honor. It's incredible. It really is. So, well, hey, that's all the time we have for today. It's been interesting unpacking Coach Belichick in North Carolina. Thank you for watching and listening. Make sure to tell your friends at the office about us, and join us for our next show when it's going to be, I guess it's going to be more football, Lionel.
You bet. You got it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lionel. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us for the latest episode of two former NFL scouts, Vitale and Kelly. No nonsense, uncensored, hard-hitting football analysis. Weekdays.